I think I'll let you. I think that was the fastest lap he has done in I don't know when. So, anyway, Gloria, I'll fill you in and everybody else here on the end. We're just kind of giving it a second to let some other folks come in. Anyhow, please don't do that. I am fine. I was getting some things ready in the van and I was rearranging it. Every time I take a trip, I always rearrange the van. Both before we leave, I arrange it. On the trip, I tend to rearrange it. And then when I get home, I rearrange it and I take everything out, right? Because you got to get it all fixed up. So I was rearranging the van again, getting things ready to go out again, because I had thought that I would go out today and do a $40 day trip. So, hey, we have White 2-pack in. Hey, it is good to see you. Always good to see you. So, hey. So, I'm doing all right. But anyway, I was getting the van ready to do the to go out today and do a $40 day trip. And when I was maneuvering things around, I caught my hand in between the van bed and the wall. There's this little rib thing that sticks out. So, yeah, I caught that. And I thought, nah, no big deal. But it kept swelling. A second. Kept swelling. And it kept getting worse. And it kept hurting. And I was like, this is not a really good time for this to happen. And so early afternoon, I was like, I've really got to go have this looked at. So I did. And I waited and I waited. I didn't go to the ER though. I went to the urgent care clinic, which is supposed to be faster than the emergency room. And I am not really sure that it is, or at least was faster yesterday. Yeah, I did. When the station channel said she didn't know I got hurt. Yeah, I did. That's why I had to move the live stream. And I didn't realize when I posted the little short video to let y'all know, I didn't realize that you couldn't hear me. I forgot about how you had to speak louder when you're wearing a mask. Sorry about that. I haven't been wearing a mask and I haven't run into that problem. So they made us put it on yesterday. So anyway, I'm there and it's taking forever. And I'm like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. And they were like, we're going to get you. We're going to get you. And it took a while. And I think, honestly, some emergency departments have urgent care, you know, two different sides. One side's for the emergence and one side's for urgent, not emergent. And this isn't one of those places because we live out in the boondocks now. And the further away you get from a larger town, the worse your medical care gets. So, yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. So we had to drive an hour to get to the little hospital. There is a small hospital here in the city where I live, but just don't even. I got really frustrated at them once before. So I'm not going back. And drove an hour, and White 2-pack's getting ready for bed. Okay, I'm really glad you're here. It's good to see you. So, yeah, so we drove for an hour, waited. And so when they went to check me in, though, they're like, oh, is that a support animal that you've brought with you? And I'm like, no, he's a service dog. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we've heard it called support animals a lot. So I had to do some education there on the difference. But once I did, one of the ladies in the back was like, oh, yeah, there's a huge difference between support dogs and service dogs. So I went in the back and I was able to get the x-rays done. And they weren't 100% sure about letting him back. Not because of the dog being my dog, but because they'd had problems with other dogs before not doing well in the x-ray department. And I'm like, he'll be fine. He'll lay in the floor next to me. He's going to be fine. So, yeah, there was some hesitation, and they were like, well, we can get an employee to sit in the room and watch your dog while you go have the x rays, which I thought was really, really, really nice. So, all things considered, it worked out okay. It just took forever. Long story short is I didn't break anything this time. So, yay! But I did bung it up. I probably stretched a couple of tendons, like the regular bruise and sprain. But we did find out that I have had a previous injury to my hand that I didn't realize that I did, where I apparently dislocated a finger or something. And yeah, that is why my finger's crooked. And I didn't realize that. I always just thought like the fingers were crooked because honestly, the right hand didn't look that much different than the left hand. So they're like, no, we think you've got, you've injured it in the past, and that's part of it. And then we also found out that I have arthritis in the hand, and they were also diagnosed me as having osteoporosis. So 3 x-rays, tons of information, and information that I really didn't want. So my whole hand is involved. My wrist is also involved. I'm just going to show you, it's easier. Like this portion of my wrist, they were concerned that I had broken a bone there, and I've done that once before, but they were concerned that I had broken a bone there. And they said if, because of what they saw in this area, if it's still an issue, then I have to go into my regular doctor and possibly have an MRI done on my hand. But I think it's going to be okay. I mean, it still hurts. It's still swollen. And then they had to put me in an ACE bandage because they didn't have any of those splint things that they put on your hand and arm. So they have me in the ACE bandage, which is coming loose. And I guess I'm going to have to rewrap it. Yeah, it's one of those things. So I'm supposed to go, or not supposed to, but it was suggested that I go to Walmart and I get one of those arm splints that goes over the hand and over the wrist and holds things a little bit more stable. But I didn't go to Walmart yesterday, and that's like another hour drive. So yeah, I'll probably do that in a few days if it's still hurting and still bothering me, or if I have reason to go out again. Otherwise, I thought about looking on Amazon, but I really don't know. Do these things like come in sizes, or how does this work? So I don't know, but I'll be looking into that. So I guess as far as going on a trip, my wing is clipped a little bit because I can write with my left hand and I can do a lot of things with my left hand. But honestly, it's kind of weird. I don't know if you all do this too or not, but I have a tendency to use one hand more than the other when I drive. And of course, the hand that I use the most is this one. So, yeah. So, for at least the next couple of weeks, I'm not going to be able to go out and do much. So, frustrating. Let's see. Women's Station Channel is glad it wasn't that bad. Whew. Me too. I really thought that I possibly had broken it because if you've ever had a broken bone before, then you get this kind of weird little, kind of an icy feeling in your hand, but it's really hot too at that same minute. I don't know. I really can't explain it that well. It's a weird sort of pain, and I felt that in my wrist area. So I thought, well, I've at least, bunged up my wrist. But it worked out. So, yeah, thank you. I was really surprised to find out I have dislocated it once before. I have no idea when that happened. I must have been a kid or something. I'm sure that would have hurt. Okay, Women's Station Channel is saying, I'm sorry, Gayle, do they have you on medicine for osteoporosis? No. I was told I had osteopenia and was kind of, I guess, going toward that, but they put me on, well, sort of vitamin D, and then I have to take the calcium, and then they checked me again, and I was out of the range for osteoporosis and back down to osteopenia. Had, well, a little bit more down into the, I guess, the lower end of osteopenia. Um, so yeah, kind of surprised about that diagnosis yesterday. So I was surprised about that. I was surprised about finding out that I probably have dislocated my finger at some point, and kind of surprised that I hadn't broken that little bone in my wrist again, because I kind of thought that I might have. And the doctor was like, your hand is swollen. And, she's like doing the little manipulative stuff and whatnot. So yeah, and the other surprise is that I have arthritis also in the hand, which I did not see coming. So, like I said, one set of x-rays and tons of information as far as like things that are kind of chronic that I had no idea was down there. So, anyway, I'm supposed to go see my doctor on, I forgot what day, later in the month sometime. I'm supposed to see the doctor, and we'll see what all she wants to do. So, yeah. At least you know how to further prevent osteoporosis. Yep. And I really have to wonder too, and I keep forgetting to ask the doctor, but where I have asthma, I stay on steroids a lot. And like every time I fly or every time I go to Alaska, I wind up getting sick because I have asthma, and they wind up having to put me on steroids. And there was one point in my life where I spent almost a year taking a daily steroid. So I kind of wonder if that has impacted my bones a little bit. So, yeah, that's another question I'm going to ask, because steroids are great to keep you breathing, and they are great to take care of inflammation, but they can also mess you up. So, and it could just be where I've got the adrenal gland issue that it's kicked in and caused, some bone thinning or whatever. I do remember hearing that mentioned, because that puts more hormones and steroid stuff in your body. So, yeah, who knows? But that's a long story on that, to say I'm sorry that I wasn't here yesterday, but now I guess you can understand more of why and what was going on. And hey, so he's in the floor now. He's being a good boy, and he did great yesterday. And they were all like, "Oh, can I pet him?" And I'm like, "Oh no, please don't." So, but at least they were really nice. And the whole idea, I will say that they they did really great with him, except I was concerned that like when it like when they offered to have somebody sit with him in another room, I was like, are they going to forget and pet him? Which, the thing is, it just, his concentration, if that happens too often, will get thrown off. And like you all saw the video that I just posted about the fake service dogs that growled and barked and snapped at him some. And then, of course, I snapped at the other person. But you could see his distraction and his confidence level change and so forth. And his confidence level doesn't go down, but his distraction level increases. His inability to focus and so forth definitely comes into play when he's talked to too much and petted too much, and when he's barked and growled at. So that was on my mind too. But they were doing just great otherwise with him, so, which is good. You hope every place is going to be great, but you never know. You never know. So let's see here. Wow. Okay. Women's Changing Channel. What on earth? Oh, I just hit this is fixed by Velcro, and I just pulled the Velcro. Great. Let me tuck this back here. This is crazy. Yeah, I don't like this at all. But anyway, back to the thing. Women's Station Channel says she got picked up by a driver that's married to a trainer at Guide Dogs USA. And that is awesome. So were you able to get information from Guide Dogs USA about, or not from Guide Dogs USA, but about Guide Dogs USA? Because I'm sure that she has the inside scoop. Because generally what happens is when you have one person training a dog and they have the dog in the household, the whole household learns how to handle the dog and what to do and not to do, so forth. So let's see. She says, or she wants a Labradoodle. She probably won't be able to get a dog here. The driver said they don't have those in Oregon. Why? Did you say anything about what they do have? I hope he gave you some idea of what they do have. I'm surprised. Because Labradoodles are pretty common. Okay, so she's saying that she may have to travel now. She saw his wife walking and training the people in the street. Aw. Oh, okay. All right. A lot of agencies are using labs. They're smart. They are used for lots of different things, ranging from bomb sniffing to cancer detection to you name it. Regular service dog stuff, like I have all kinds of things. So they're really, their personalities are usually dependable. Their temperament is reliable. They're great dogs. I was not sure how I would do with a Labrador Retriever. Our thing, like only me, right? Our thing was I didn't want a puppy, I didn't want a small dog, and I didn't want a lab. So I got a 13-month-old puppy who's a small lab. It's like I knew exactly what I didn't want, and God said, "Oh, really?" But he's great, and I love him. And like I said, I've said before, he is like dead on the money on lots of different things. Definitely blood sugar, like incredible. And we were over at a family member's the other day. He alerted to her like straight off the bat. We'd been there maybe an hour at most. And he goes over and he does a blood sugar alert. And I looked at her and I'm like, "How's your blood sugar?" And she's like, "Well, I guess it's okay. I'm not sure. I can check it." I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead and check it." And she's got this little thing that she wears all the time. So she scanned it and she's like, "Yep." She said, "It's about to go off in about 4 more points. I got to go take a shot." So, I mean, I was blown away. So, labs are good dogs. A lot of places are using the English labs, and they're bigger and stockier than a Labrador Retriever, but still have the same personality. But if you want a Labradoodle, maybe they could get one in for you. Maybe they could network with another agency or something. I mean, I don't know, but it can't hurt to ask, right? The worst they can do is say no. Because traveling is tough. But any place you go, if I haven't told you before, please forgive me. But any place you go is going to require some time spent at what I call doggy boot camp. And that's where you learn how to work with your service dog. And it's crucial. It's a big deal. But of course, there's some expense with that. Now, I understand some places, when you get your service dog from them, they'll help with that expense or maybe include part of it. I'm not 100% sure how that works because it's from different agencies. I just remember seeing some things about that when I was searching for Pipsy. But it's so crucial. You want a program that will either come out to you or have you come out to them and spend that time at the doggy boot camp, because it's just, I was a little jaded. I had trained owner trained with the help of trainers my first service dog. So I went into the doggy boot camp kind of wondering, like, how much am I going to get out of this? And kind of looking at it from the standpoint of, okay, I've spent the previous 13 years of my life with a service dog that I helped train. I worked with the trainers. And let me tell you, it was the best 10 days of my life. I learned so much by being there and learning how to interact with my dog. Totally different than the way I had interacted previously with the other dog. So, yeah, it was really, really well worth it. Let's see. Yeah, I hope they can get one for you too. The resort where you stay out there to train with your dog is beautiful and free. That is fabulous. That is so fabulous. You know, we had to pay, and I just felt like God just worked that whole thing out to us because we were there for like 10 days, 11 days, 11 days. I'd have to go back and look it up again. And where we have the RV and we stayed in the campground, we only paid $100 for the week at the campground with water and electricity and stuff. So it's a huge help because it's expensive to travel. But check and see if they can get one in for you. I mean, the worst they can do is say no. So what did they found in your head, if anything at all? LOL. How are you doing, Gayle? First, Peter, it's good to see you. It was not my hand. It was my, I'm sorry, it was not my head. It's not my head. It's my hand and my wrist. And I kind of thought I had broken it, but I didn't, which is a real relief. But we found out some other chronic things are going on. So, yeah, arthritis, some osteoporosis, some things like that. And yeah, so I'll be in this for a week to 10 days. And they said to take this off a couple of times, 4 times a day, and ice it down for the first 48 hours and make sure I take ibuprofen and all that stuff. Yeah. Or not ibuprofen. It's Aleve. So whatever the generic Aleve is, that's what I'm taking. 2 pills twice a day for 3 days, whatever that is. Oh, good. April 28th. Okay, make yourself a list of questions to ask. You thought Peter meant your head. He might have. That's creepy when you find out things like that, but it helps to know to make it better. Yes. Yes. And yeah, it is. But it's also a little frustrating. It's like I just go in to see if this thing is broken or not, And then you come out with this whole long list of things that are wrong that like you never dreamed was going to be in the diagnosis. So yeah, but I should know by now to not be surprised at anything they tell me, like like going in thinking I've got a kidney stone stuck in my. Now the brain fog is kicking in that I've been dealing with for 2 weeks. Anyway, like going in and thinking that I've probably got a kidney stone that's stuck because my back hurts periodically, and then finding out that no, it's not that at all. I had a mass on my adrenal gland that had to come out. Crazy stuff. Oh, okay. So Women's Station Channel knows exactly what I'm talking about. She says, okay, right? She says she just wanted contact lenses. Perfectly reasonable thing to want contact lenses. Yep. So you know what I'm talking about, and I'm so sorry that you do. So sorry. Because it's like, like people are thinking, like, are you crazy? Or you've got every time like I see a friend, she's like, what have you gotten into now? And have you bought stock in bubble wrap yet? Because it's like, things happen. So, hey, Irene, it's okay. It's not broken. Thank God. So, yeah. So I was just telling him, basically, it's not broken. I've got to wear an ace bandage. They were going to put a splint on my arm. They didn't have a splint. So yeah, it's ace bandage. I'm supposed to pick up a splint, which I might or might not do because it's like forever on the way to Walmart. And they did find out that I have previously dislocated my finger at some point in time. And I figured that had to be maybe like when I was a kid or something, because I don't remember doing that as an adult, but who knows. And they found out that I have osteoporosis going on and some arthritis going on, but it's not broken. I kind of thought that it might be there. And like on my wrist, like the little bone that's in here on this hand, really kind of felt weird when this happened. And they said, just, it's swollen, keep a watch on it, talk to my doctor, and possibly have an MRI if I keep having problems. But hopefully it won't happen. But it did kill my $40 day trip, so I am not out in the van right now. Yeah, that is great. The Women's Station Channel and I were kind of commiserating a little bit about life throwing us curveballs. No, I didn't. So an asteroid is heading for Earth. Wow. Well, fiddlesticks. Well, we've got the Space Force. Maybe they can take care of it. Women's Station Channel says no, but I've gotten glimpses of info. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that at all. Irene has osteoporosis everywhere. Well, I have osteopenia, and it was working its way toward osteoporosis, and they put me on the vitamin D and the calcium and so forth. And I thought I'd gotten out of that range, but oh well, something else to talk to the doctor about. You know that list, Women's Station Channel, that I said make a list when you talk to the service dog people? I'm making a list to talk to my doctor. So, big believer in lists. So, I'm sorry that you have that. Yeah. I wish I could send you flowers. That's okay. I'm actually allergic to them. So, thank you for not sending me flowers. They trigger my asthma, most of them. So, thank you. Hey! Woo! I hope you have a great time. My first camping trip that I ever did in a tent was at a Canadian provincial park. We had a great time, and I hope you did too. The only thing is, if you're going to use any solar, drive around the park and look for a spot that's a little bit more in the sunshine. If you wind up at a shaded park, because it's just easier that way. A couple of the parks that I've been to were just fabulous, but there was like no chance of getting any light for the solar, which is not that big of a deal when you're only spending one night somewhere, but definitely a bigger deal for you. So, are you going to have videos on that? Because I really hope so. Yeah, good. Uh-oh. You don't have a doctor. I don't think I could do that. Like I did when I was younger, but I think now that I'm older with my whole long list, but now I will say it was an ordeal finding a doctor that I felt like I could like and trust. And that was, it was kind of tough. And when I found one, he decided after seeing him for about 3-4 years there, that he was going to go be an emergency room doc. So I had to start all over again. But it was tough. Which park? It was over in, where were we? We had just left Brandon, Canada, heading west. And I do not remember the name of the park. But it was It was out of Brandon, Canada. Let me see if I can look it up. Wait a minute. I'm trying to think. Would have been in Manitoba. He finished. I am not typing fast. Okay. What road is that on? If I look at a map, it'll probably tickle my brain. But it was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. What was so funny was we. What was so funny was, and if Stellar Piper was in, she might remember because she was there too. Um, but the funniest thing about the whole big thing is that we were there and we were only going to spend a few hours there. And the guy taking us in was like, well, you can let me know if you need something, but I'm leaving really early tomorrow and I'm going to go sightseeing and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, we're going to be leaving early too. I'm sure we'll be fine. And he's like, well, I'm leaving really early. And I'm like, okay, I got you. So we were taking our tent down and putting our stuff up. And then he starts out of his RV and he's like, oh, you're up early too. Just one of those little funny things. But that got me hooked on camping, I will say. Because it was just, we had a deer walk through the camp and we were close enough that like there was this little sign saying fresh water and it was pointing us down this trail. So we had our water, but we were curious to see what was down there. And the fresh water source was the creek. And I just thought that was so cool. That's why I remember it. I just can't remember the name of it. Gosh, like in my mind, I can see it. And I guess I need to like quit talking so much and look it up. But I can't remember the name of the highway that we were on. And I think once I remember that, I can probably remember which province. But I remember staying at the Comfort Inn there, and they had this airplane right in front of the Comfort Inn that they were using as a decoration. And it was like so cool. Okay, let me see. I want to say that we actually got past Regina. I see what road it's on. Highway 1. That sounds right. I don't remember. I'm going to have to look it up some more. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to do some looking now because I'm stumped. So anyhow, I'll have to get back with you on that. But it was just the coolest thing. Absolutely the coolest thing. Let's see. Oh, Iron says she booked it was all she could get. It's madness here since the pandemic. People buy up all the sites and then don't show up. Yeah, I'm kind of worried about that because if all goes well, I'm driving to Alaska, as you know, this summer, and we've had that phenomenon happening down here too. And the last thing that you want to have happen is to get stuck without some place to stay. And I know that in Canada they're cracking down a lot on like people spending the night at overlooks and Walmart parking lots and stuff. But I can't book in advance either because I don't know exactly where I'm going to be each night at all. So Peter says fake flowers. There you go. I could do fake ones. Nice. She always makes a list. It makes it, oh, first year resident next door. Ha! That's the thing. We lived in an apartment building where we had residents there for a while and they found out that I could cook and it was got to be kind of interesting. They'd work that 60, 80-hour week at the hospital and they'd hear us in the apartment because the kids were young. So they would make noise and they would stick their head in and say, hi, just right around the time they smell the food odor. So be nice to them because they can sure be helpful. Oh, we're in the process of switching over to private health care in my province. I hope that goes well. Keep us informed because I just would like to know how that's going. Not that there's anything I can do. I'm just curious. Because, like, our big thing is that people say, oh, we don't want healthcare like Canada. And I'm like, how do we know that? Going to Honeypot Park. Oh, okay. Yeah, that does not sound right. That doesn't sound right at all. Okay, Women's Station Channel says one thing she's been lucky about is good insurance. One of the good things from working over 11 years. That's huge. Our insurance is not that great. We got lucky with some of the COVID stuff. The ER bill, they had some special funding for COVID patients for the ER bill, but like all of the home health and everything else, I'd already maxed out my $6K out of pocket. But if I hadn't, COVID would have done it. Kind of scary. Whoops. I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. Okay. Good insurance. Yay. Sold out for the year. Ooh. Yeah. I hope they leave some spots for people just to drive in. I really do. Iron says she's always loved camping. I quit because of my back. So awesome. I clued into van camping. How are you liking that? Have you really been out much yet? You have, haven't you? Like, I love my van. I just freaking love it. I'm unsure about van camping. Women's Station Channel, I'll be honest with you, it's not for everyone, but you've had some experience with camping, a lot of experience with camping. So I believe you have a really good idea on what you think you want and what you don't think you want. So if you are leaning toward van camping, then I would say, honestly, see if you can rent a U-Haul van, put a mattress in it, and try it for a weekend. I know it sounds weird, but I take a couple of things that you think you might take with you if you were van camping. Just, I don't know if you can tell U-Haul you're doing this or not, but that's what I would do. Is try that because they have the vans that are the size of a passenger van. So that's what I would say. I would try renting that for a weekend. There are some places that will rent van campers, and you can try renting one of those. That's always a good idea too. But I think U-Haul vans are a lot cheaper for the night. So yeah, that's what I would do. And then keep going to RV lots, RV shows, look at videos, look online. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're in a truck camper, and they cannot envision not being in the truck camper. They love it, and they said they liked the maneuverability of it, and they have this way that they can raise the roof and they can stand up in it. And she said it's got a full bathroom in it. So I don't understand like how that happens in a truck because I didn't think their truck was very big. But you just go out, look at everything, and kind of figure out what you think you want in a vehicle and go from there. So yeah. Okay, Iron says her side is level and partial shades. It was hard finding a spot that was level and not full of shade. Yeah. The provincial campground we went to was very shaded, and they usually are. Me too. Because you can just, something comes up, you just get in the front seat and drive away. Rich people, pet peeve. That's interesting, Gayle, your travel prognosis. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. And then Irene says, yes, too many people with money taking up spots at Walmart too, so they don't allow it in most places now. Yeah, and that really, it hurts because I should shush. There was some, anyway, I won't. I'll say this. There were some folks in a great big Class A RV pulling a car that was painted in the same style as their Class A RV, and they were parked at Walmart. And I'm like, dang it. So, but I mean, they have the same right to park as anybody else. As long as it's allowed, it's allowed. Yeah. Oh, and oh my gosh, here. She hopes somebody shoots our premiere, but only as okay. Let's not wish. I don't want to wish anybody gets. Yeah, that happens. Good night, Gayle. Aw, sneeze away. God bless you. See you next week. Thank you for coming. It's good to see you. Well, I'm on Medicaid. That's why I don't know what Medicaid is. Is that kind of like Medicare or Medicaid? Oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. And Irene says Canadian healthcare is great as long as you aren't on social assistance. My mom gets ton of free care. She's going to outlive me and her grandkids. That's good that she has great care. Our thing is that, like, people say, oh, you don't want health care like Canada, or you don't want health care from the UK because you're just going to have to wait a long time to get seen by a doctor and you won't be able to get anything done. And I'm like, we're waiting now, for specialists and stuff. And they don't really think of it as waiting. But to me, when you go into the regular doctor and your regular doctor says, well, we want to do an MRI, but we can't. But if we send you to physical therapy for 8 to 10 to 12 weeks and you fail physical therapy and you're still having problems, then we can do an MRI. So you go and you do the physical therapy and you go back to the doctor and they're like, okay, well, physical therapy didn't help like we thought it would. So we'll go ahead and we can order that MRI now. And this is like going back to my back issue. So then they did the MRI and they sent me for more physical therapy while I was, quote, waiting to be seen by the doctor. Then I saw the doctor and we scheduled it, but it was scheduled for like 2 months out. So it's like, we're still waiting to see a doctor. They just don't couch it in that terms. So very frustrating. And then we pay through the nose. Like I said, last year I maxed out my $6,000 out of pocket. So when you spend $6,000 on medical stuff, and that doesn't count, like I was still having to pay for prescriptions and stuff. So, yeah. Women likes my van too. It's extra long. I do have a lot of camping experience. I smell the beautiful smell of dampness at Portland Japanese Garden. And I'm stuck on camping. And she says they rent RVs. See, that's another option too. Just, take your time, try out a few, decide what you think you want. For me, because we were going to be hauling stuff for mission trips, I really kind of wanted a van and felt like I needed it. But our van, I think I said when I did the little tour, it's undergone several transformations since we've had it. And yeah, so there's that. But yeah, we definitely got the extended, and I would suggest that to anybody in a van. Irene, what is yours? Is your van an extended van or is it a short? What length are you working with there? And let's see, Irene loves van camping. Yes, haven't been out enough. Every time I leave, my mom's have to come back. Next time, I'm not coming back. I have a life to live, even if it's short. LOL. Yeah, you still want to take care of family, but I understand. I understand completely about feeling torn. And I will tell you, that is one of the things that I like about driving to Alaska, because once I cross that Canadian border, it doesn't matter if the house burns down. Somebody else is going to have to deal with it because chances are they can't get in touch with me to tell me. And so I just feel better. And I know that's kind of weird, but although this time I'm going to be getting a different phone, I think. Ari, could you suggest a cell phone service in Canada? Like here, we have the little cheap prepaid deals, and I can spend like anywhere from 15 to $1,000 on a prepaid phone, and I can use it for like 1 month and pick it up. I use Straight Talk here, which you can get through Walmart or get online. But I didn't have luck finding anything like that. I got it in Edmonton and, drove on up the whole Alaska Highway thing. But I really couldn't find anything like that. And then there was like lots of dead space. Not too bad, but not great. I think you still have a way. Yeah, it could be. I think so too. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that, because waiting to get in to see a doctor is crazy. And like when I had, oh my gosh, the adrenal gland issue, when I had that and I was having to see a doctor, that got crazy. And one of the things about that is I got so lucky, talking about the expense of medical bills and stuff. They wanted to do, let me see if I can think of the name of it. It's been a while. MIGB or MIBG. I forget which way those letters go. But the thing was, it's a nuclear test. And so at the time, there was only a few places in the U.S. that I'm losing my hat. That's just awful, right? A few places in the U.S. that would mix up the tracer. So the way they were doing it is, in Chicago, they would mix it up, and then they put the thing on a plane, flew it to Knoxville, Tennessee, where they then had a special courier pick it up, drive it to the hospital, and then inject me with it. And it all had to be done within a very short time period. So we're not talking about a day, we're talking about an hour. So we go through all of this to do what they call a pre-certification with the insurance company, which you always have to do if you're going to do anything slightly expensive. If you're in the US, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I get there, and the person checking me in is like, oh, well, we can't do it today. We don't have your medicine. And I'm like, why don't you have my medicine? Like, what's going on? Oh, well, it snowed in Chicago and they couldn't get the medicine out. And I'm like, so somebody else doesn't have it? And they're like, nope. So what the deal was, they couldn't get it out. And I had either the option to reschedule, or I could hang around the hospital waiting a couple of hours to see if the snow in Chicago cleared up and the plane would be cleared for takeoff. And I'm like, I know a little bit about weather in that area, and no, I'll reschedule. And that conversation, that experience, like, saved my bacon, because the woman said, now, your insurance may not cover this, right? And I'm like, no, they did the pre-cert. Of course it's going to cover it. No, just because you have a pre-cert does not mean the insurance is going to cover it. And they said I would have to get what they called a predetermination, which was a whole lot more paperwork, hassle, problem, delay, wait, because basically they took all of my records and they would send it to the insurance company, along with letters from the endocrinologist and the surgeon and the GP, who were all going to be working on it. And then Blue Cross would look over everything, and they would make a commitment on what they were going to pay and how much they were going to pay. And we're going back and forth, and I'm like, well, how much is the test? And they're like, well, we really can't tell you because it depends on this and that and everything. So in digging around and phone calls and talking to people, that test was around $10K, between $8 and $10K, we think. I about had a heart attack, and I had a girlfriend who was like, I feel funny about this check. You check with the insurance. She was like, the whole time. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. They did a pre-cert, whatever. And that's when I got into digging around and posted on Facebook saying, hey, anybody else have an adrenal tumor going on? And what did you do? And all this stuff. And that's when I found out about the National Institutes of Health. So I got to go up there and I had tons of testing and stuff done. Not medical care, because you're in a study. And so they study you like 9 ways to Sunday. They check you out. But one of the tests that I had to have was similar to this major nuclear thing, and they were free, and they provided a free place to stay. So I still had to get to Bethesda, Maryland, but once I got there, it was a matter of buying groceries and gas. Little issue with the service dog, but the Department of Justice sorted that out for us. I won't go into that long thing. I do have a video on that. So anyway, crazy. So I would just assume be in Canada and not have to worry about that. I think. Universal health care is supposed to be for everyone, but not in a conservative province. Ouch. Iron says, I'm my mother's caregiver. She is only still living at home because of me, but I have to think of me now. So next time she's in crisis, I'm going to have to bow out, unfortunately. You have to take care of yourself. You have to set boundaries, and setting boundaries is so hard. I wound up being the primary caretaker for a couple of people. And I can tell you, if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else is going to. So I understand what you're saying, and I understand it's going to be hard, but prep her for it. Let her know ahead of time, get a support network, all the stuff that you're probably already doing. And let's see. Oh, hey. Hi. Okay, speaking of adrenal glands, I had the surgery like yours 4 months ago, adrenalectomy. Overall, my health is better. Yes. But I still have heart palpitations. My blood pressure has dropped drastically, but it still fluctuates sometimes. And Iron says, 2014 Dodge Caravan, small but perfect. There you go. Virgin Mobile. Canada has the highest prices for cell phones and plans in the world, we're told. Yeah, I paid like $160 for the phone because I got the cheapest one they had and the service, but it was on some kind of lucky network thing. But I'm going to check. Let me make a note to check into Virgin Mobile Canada. I wonder if it works out west. I'll check into that before I go. Okay. Thank you, Irene. And let's see, it says, I had surgery like 5 months ago. Adrenal, like overall, my health is better, but I still have heart palpitations. My blood pressure has dropped since then, but still fluctuates. Doctor said it will go away. I hope so. It may just be your body kind of getting used to not having the mass anymore. With me, my blood pressure came down immediately, and it was fabulous. And I lost a ton of weight straight off the bat. So much so that I had the surgery in May, and my daughter got married in July. So in April, I had this outfit all picked out. And of course, it's the most gorgeous outfit on the planet that will just look so good on me. The things we tell ourselves, right? And I bought it in April, and then by the time July came, I took it out of the closet and I put it on, and it was too big for me. Like, majorly too big for me. And in that length of time, I had lost 40 pounds, and a lot of it was just swelling because I was staying swollen, and I didn't realize how much I was swollen. So, yeah, that was kind of interesting. I had to call Stellar Piper and go, I'm not sure what I'm wearing to your wedding. It may be a pair of black pants and some kind of top. And she's like, I don't care what you wear, just get here. It wouldn't have flown with my other daughter. The Stellar's laid back, y'all know. So I hope it goes away. and everything straightened out. I'm real excited to know that though. So, so yay. Thank you for telling me that. Because the adrenal surgery can be a little rough. Just for y'all who don't know, if it's a pheochromocytoma, not at least here, not every surgeon will do the surgery, and not every anesthesiologist will do the surgery because they really don't know what's going to happen. Mine was really weird in the sense that it was not a pheochromocytoma, but my body reacted the same way it would have if I'd had a pheochromocytoma, which they still don't understand. I had to see endocrinology a month ago, and he's like, he still didn't understand why, but we just roll with it and thank God for it because my blood sugar came down. I got off tons of my blood sugar meds. I got off 4 blood pressure medications. I reduced the other blood pressure medication. And so, I mean, for me, it was life changing. I could go outside, I could walk in the heat. I hadn't been able to do that. Hadn't been able to take a hot shower because I would get sick and sweaty and shaky. Blood sugar everywhere. So, yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. So I am glad, really, really glad that you're doing well. So, I'm looking to see if I have a photo I can pop up because it's crazy. And the thing is, with my experience with the pheochromocytoma is that I didn't realize how crappy I felt because it creeps up on you. Your body's making all these changes, and so it's creeping up on you like the symptoms and stuff. So you develop it slowly over time, and it's kind of like the story of the frog in the boiling water. And when I had that pheo out, I'm sorry, when I had the adrenal mass out, even though it wasn't a pheo, I started feeling better like within a day or two. I had some problems with asthma right after surgery, like I always do. But yeah, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I wouldn't wait as long. I kind of put it off for a little while because the doctors at first are like, "Oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. You're going to be fine." And then they were like, "Oh, wait, this actually might be something to worry about." So I'm like, with me, my response is, okay, prove it. If it's something I have to worry about, you're just going to have to prove it. And I'm looking to see if I have a picture. So we waited a little while, plus playing tiddlywinks with the insurance company. I don't see any pictures of myself. Okay, I'm going through. I have Google Photos, so I'm like going through looking at 2016 stuff, and don't see any 2016 photos of me popping up. That's how crappy I felt I looked, people. Okay. So yeah, I don't see it. Oh wait, there is one photo of me after I had surgery and I'm actually less swollen. I found it. So I'm going to share it so y'all can see if there's a difference. So yeah, there I am. And then like here I am today. So you can tell me if there's a difference. This is about I'll have to go back and look. I think it's like 8 months, 6 months post op. But I think my color is better. My energy level really picked up. So I hope that you have a similar experience or the same experience and that you just start feeling magnificently better. really fast. And let's see, I was only 23 years old when my blood pressure started to rise, and doctors kept telling me that it was the stress. I hear you. I walked that path. It is very infuriating, very frustrating. Yes. Yeah, sometimes, because like my heart would go super, super fast, and I would be sweaty and shaky, and I would be like doing nothing. And I'm like, why is my pulse 124 and I am doing absolutely nothing? And with me, the doctors would say, oh, it's your asthma. That's probably what it is. Take your inhaler. And I'd be like, no, this isn't a time when I need to take my inhaler. And yeah. But Theos are so rare that they just, not only do they not look for them, they don't think about them. And so my doctor had been out, my regular doctor had been out for a little while. And did you hear me say that? I said OUT, and my service dog over here just goes, perk. No, not right now. Later. Sorry about that, you all. But anyway, my regular doctor was out. He was having some health issues also. And I went to another doctor for a little while, and I kept telling her, that I had some pain in my back, and I really felt like it was possibly a kidney stone. And so she was like, oh, well, let's do an x-ray. Where my other doctor, when I had said that to him, was like, it's probably a back strain. I'm like, I've had plenty of back sprains. I knew what that was like, and that wasn't it. So the other doctor did it, and she called me, and she's like, let's have you come in and we'll talk about this. She's like, this is too involved for a phone call, so just go ahead and come in. And so she kind of gave me a heads up about what was going on. And then by the time I went to see her, she's like, I've already talked to a surgeon. I don't think this is any big deal, but it could be. So I'm just having you follow up with him, just kind of rule things out. So I was like, okay. So I then talked to his staff, and because they like called about, setting me up and getting me in and whatnot. And they're like, yeah, this really probably is nothing. He doesn't really think it's anything big, but your doctor referred you, so we're going to follow up, but it's nothing that you have to worry about. So my first appointment with the doctor was like, yeah, I don't think so. And then he came back and he's like, okay, we need to talk a little more. So, but it's frustrating when you go to the doctor and instead of like looking for, I'm not even going to say what I was thinking, but anyway, you just want to be heard, So, yeah. Let's see. I'm a miracle, been like this for 15 months. You've been a miracle for longer than that. It's a miracle that you're here, and I feel like it's a miracle we met personally. I'll just be honest with you on that. Yeah. I've had to throw so many temper tantrums with doctors that it's not been funny. Like even getting Stellar Piper diagnosed with a seizure disorder was like insane. I had to really pitch a fit on that one. Big fit, big fit. Yeah, I'll go back. You do. You do. And honestly, with a Theo, I mean, you could if your blood pressure went so high. Yep. Antidepressants for flaming in my body. I have an oh, wow. That was not good. Yeah, I was like only 23. Yeah, it's not. My first blood pressure issue, I would have been in my early 20s too. I actually never really thought about that, but I would have been, let's see, have to stop and think. I was running late, picking up Stellar Piper from school, and I had my other one with me. So it would have been, I would have been about 24. Yeah. Iron says you look younger now. Yay! But I think my color is better too. Yeah. I feel healthier. And I've got all these crazy things wrong with me, which is the funny thing because I guess technically I'm not healthier in a lot of other ways, but I feel it. Yeah. Okay, so you're still really young. Good. I'm glad they caught it earlier. I'm glad they did something for you earlier. And I'm glad that you can like go out and enjoy your life because FIOs keep you from it. And adrenal masses, they all work against you. I'm praying they let doctors trained overseas that live here driving cabs be allowed to practice soon. They're always better and act like humans. Yeah, I mean, I've had some great doctors that were out of the country, and some great ones that were in the country. And I tell you, no matter which way you go, getting a doctor that actually listens to you and cares is like that diamond that you find. You want to do anything that you can to keep that relationship up. And like right now, I'm driving 3 hours to get to the doctor because where we moved, I said, no, this doctor that I have actually takes time to listen and cares. I don't care where my husband gets transferred to. I'm keeping her. Regardless of success. Yep. Oh, when you have kids with a doctor, it's even worse. Yeah, once you have kids, it's really interesting. Me too, Gail. There's a handful of you guys on YouTube I'm really happy I know and care about, and you're one of them. Back at you. Back at you. Because, and, you know, people are like, they kind of give YouTube a bad rap, but I really feel blessed to know like several people. And I know Women's Station and Channel and we connected some before YouTube, which was cool. And we strengthened that, I would say, through YouTube and through Facebook, um, which is super. But like you and Valerie Reese and the people who get together to do that Black Friday fundraiser and some others, it's like, I am so glad that you're in my lives. So it's awesome. So I'm a little worried at your idea. Okay. Yep. There you go. Yours wasn't a FIO either. Okay. I thought it might have been. So isn't it weird that like your body changes so much and like the doctor was like you have all the symptoms of a FIO, but it's not a FIO. And so my body reacted like it was. It was like so weird. You do have to. You do. Because it makes a huge difference. It's like I was explaining to one of the doctors that I saw from a very prominent university that does world class medical care in Eastern North Carolina. And I was like, the best doctor in the world is worthless if he or she won't listen to you. When they come in and they make a snap decision and they don't listen to anything you ever have to say, which I know a couple of people that are in here and one person that's watching has had this experience, then I don't care how acclaimed they are or how many awards are on the wall or how many letters are at the end of their name. If they won't listen to you, you just don't need them because it doesn't matter. So, yeah. Yeah, I got you. I got you. So, Yeah. And I'm so excited though that my GP is starting to do telehealth appointments, because when I drive somewhere, and now like if I'm in the middle of Canada or wherever, then I can call and I can get her by telehealth, which is awesome. I've been using MD Live, and they've been great, but that's not like having your regular doctor, you know? They do a good job. I'm not talking bad about MD Life, because they really do a good job. I have gotten some really good care. I think as good as you can get over the phone, except they don't know my history. It's the only thing. Awesome. Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. It is, what time is it? It is 8:18. Oh, my stars. All right. Well, y'all, I want to thank you for coming in. I have super enjoyed talking to you all. And let's see, Women's Station Channel is saying, yep, I had this before. I settled for a less experienced doctor and reliable because of the nasty experienced doctor in 1990, where I ended up with a brain injury malpractice. Not cool at all. Yeah, it's like, okay, I'll go. I don't think Stellar Piper's in here. No, she's not. I'll just, with Stellar Piper, oh my gosh, the pediatrician that she saw was supposed to be fabulous. He was the one in our whole area that you wanted to go see. And he was supposed to be this wonderful answer to pediatric medicine in our area. And he absolutely would not listen to me. I was trying to tell him what was going on. And he just kept saying, oh, it's stress, or it's depression, or it's boys, and all this stuff. And finally, I got a hold of his partner and took Stellar Piper in. And he's like, well, the other doctor, he said he really thinks it's probably, depression or just not paying attention, because she was having a problem in school. And I'm like, I don't care. Just write for an EEG. I'll do whatever else you want. Just write for the EEG, because I think I'm looking at some of her symptoms here, and I really think it goes with some of mine. And I had this little checklist from the Epilepsy Foundation, and they were like, I took her in a lot of times before finally getting a hold of this doctor. And I just kind of threw a little fit, and I was like, well, I tell you what, you're either going to write for the test, or I'm taking her to a doctor that will. And he did. And he's like, well, and then I get this little song and dance. Have y'all ever gotten it where the doctor's like, you've got to come to terms with what's going on, and you have to realize that everything's not really big. And I just looked at him, and like inwardly I'm rolling my eyes, Then he wrote for the test, and it was positive. She had epilepsy. And he called me back, and had to get on them just a little bit too to get those test results. And he called me back. He goes, Mrs. Crabtree. And I just said, oh yeah, hi, it's positive, isn't it? He was like, yeah. We've got her set up with a neurologist though. It's like, but the one doctor that he was in practice with that was supposed to be wonderful just would not do it. And I just think, to this day, I wonder how many people are out there with wrong diagnoses just because their doctor wouldn't listen to them and they didn't push it. So, if I hadn't thrown that little temper tantrum, and we had family members that were like, well, you're just looking for something to be wrong with her. It's like, oh, no, I want her fixed. And lo and behold, then they were like, oh, and suddenly became supportive. So anyway, Women's Station Channel says the way they digitally file info medically now, Gayle, is great. Yeah and no. I like that everybody can get that information, but it takes them so long. So it's like, on one hand, I'm really glad that they do it electronically. And then on the other hand, it's like, if you just had a paper chart and a highlighter, it's like you could find things faster. Do y'all ever think that? Iron says, not in my case. WSC, a lot of my files didn't make it into the digital files. Nothing about my back surgeries or having babies, pretty much my whole file, healthy otherwise. Oh, that's some pretty big gaps. Yeah, me too. If they hadn't, my next plan, if he had not written for the test that day, I was just going to take her to the emergency department and say, this is what's going on with her. Because, like, she was too smart. By the end of her first grading period in school, she could not name her classes in order. And I was getting reports from her teachers that, like, she was showing up at the wrong class at the wrong time, or she would walk into a room where, like, let's say she had math, but the English class was meeting in there and she wouldn't realize that she was in the wrong classroom, or she would have the wrong books with her, or she wasn't getting homework in. And yeah, once they put her, to give you an idea what her functioning level should be, she almost maxed out the SAT. Now, this was going into middle school, but that's where her functioning level should have been. And then she wound up, once they got her on the meds, it picked up enough to where she won some kind of science award in the school. So, yeah. Just had to throw a little temper tantrum. And you have to do that with doctors sometimes. It's crazy. There you go. And Irene said she actually got kicked out of a doctor's office for lying about having back surgery. How can you? That's insane, because you've either got scars or you don't. Here they don't tolerate tantrums. They have signs everywhere and no cell phones. Yeah, we have signs up that say no cell phones, but a couple of my doctors, they know that I'm very respectful. So if I take a couple of little clips, they've never said anything, and I've got 2 of them that follow my YouTube channel. So I'm not going to get, like, you've seen the videos. Like, I don't get like other people and stuff. So, and which is why yesterday I was in a room where I wasn't supposed to record, but I needed to do the clip to let y'all know what was going on. So, oh no, for years. That's a shame, especially with kids. Like, I really feel like they need to, like, hop on things. So, well, you all, it's been great talking to you. It is 8:25 though, and I have got a video of live stream on the other channel that I need to get ready for. And so that's at 9 o'clock over on Overcoming the Obstacles. So, yeah, so thank you all for coming, though. I'm so sorry, though, about having to move it, and I appreciate everybody's patience. Thank you for understanding and being awesome, awesome, awesome. So this week, I've got a video coming out a little later this week, and I'll see you on that. And then I'll see you Saturday at 7, not Sunday. We're going to plan on no more things going wrong. Let's see. Iron just said something. I want to get that. I even put my pants down, and I said I didn't take an axe to myself. Obviously, I'm not lying. She opened the door and told me to get out. Wow. I am glad that you are shed of that doctor. Poor thing was miserable, and his dad would perfectly put dogs and pee on our. Oh, ouch. Yeah. That's not cool. Not cool at all. We won't talk about guys right now. Yeah. I'm not going to say what I'm thinking on that. But anyhow, thank you all again. And I will see you on a video or 2 this week. And I will see you Saturday at 7 o'clock right here. And I'm going to go get ready for that live stream on the other channels. So y'all take care. Thank you all for coming in. And always hashtag be bodacious. Don't let life get in the way of living. I know we have these medical challenges to kind of like integrate in our life, but life is out there and it's waiting for us, healthcare challenges or not. So do what we can with what we're given and enjoy it. Irene, looking forward to hearing about that camping trip. Okay. Y'all take care. See you Saturday night. Good night.